live, and Richard's got a phone call. There we are.
Hi.
Hello. Yes. Hello, everybody watching at home. This is Nathan from Actors Studio. We're still here. We're still raring to go, waiting for spring to come along. Here at Pinewood, where everything's still busy. There's things filming for Disney Plus at the moment. And I'm sure you've seen on our social media, our online courses are still well underway. And we've just added some new dates for the Art of Cinematic Performance with Sue Dunderdale that's coming up in March. It's been really popular. And also our audition and self-taping course with Ben Cogan. But today, I've got the pleasure of being joined by Richard Raymond, who's live in sunny LA. Is it sunny?
Yep.
Yeah, you've got sun. Well, it's dark, it's rainy, it's miserable here, but anyway, it's still all good news. Richard's worked on the likes of Desert Dancer, which he directed, Souls of Totality, which we were just having a little chat about, and A Million Eyes. And you've got something in the pipeline at the minute, haven't you?
I do. I can't tell you what it is, though.
It's all top secret stuff. And anyway, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk with a director who's worked with some, high-profile actors such as Joe Morton, Tom Cullen as well, and give you guys at home a little insight into Richard's way of working and some questions that have been coming through to me from actors on social media. And actors, at the start of their career can often feel quite intimidated on set, when you're just starting out. And it's always really interesting for actors to know, they want to know what every kind of director does. How do they do it? What's the process? So Richard, tell us a little bit about your process, in your creative process, and how you work towards achieving an organic performance.
I'm a very collaborative person. I thrive on collaboration. I love ideas from anyone. If it's the runner or the DP or the producers, I want to hear everyone's ideas, and because there could be a gem in there. I try and with every project I'm doing, I try and kind of bed down the ego as much as I can, just to be open and just to try and embrace someone's idea. Because what you never want to have is, after the film is finished, someone say, "Oh, why didn't you think of this?" And you're like, "Oh, yes, of course, that was a great idea." And, at the end of the day, everything goes through the director, all the ideas, all of the issues, all of the problems, and you're constantly answering a million questions, and they're coming at you rapid fire. So I what's a few more? And I really love actors. I think actors are very special people. And I've learned that when you try and do too much, give too much instruction, give too much direction to an actor, that's when you stifle them. And it's you've got to cast. I think all of the hard work is done in casting. If you cast something right, and then you allow that person, that actor, to be reliant on their instincts and embrace who they are, and all you really need to do is nudge them a little bit left or nudge them a little bit right, slower, faster, just to fit into the narrative. But you have to, if you've cast it right, you just embrace who that person is. And I personally now like to just put the camera back and just let them breathe and give them space. And another thing I think with actors is hold space for actors to feel safe, to feel that if they fuck up, it's fine. It doesn't matter, to not feel in any way hindered, to just try anything and everything that they want to. So by the end of when you've completed a scene, they feel that they've exhausted all options. Yeah. You don't want an actor to feel at the end of wrapping a scene that, I messed up or I didn't do that right. You want them to feel that they have brought everything they could have to the table. Yeah.
Well, while leaving the actors quite free, working with some of the high-profile actors, what do you find the most common notes are that you tend to give? That was one of the questions that came through from one of our students.
There isn't a common note. It really is when you're working with actors so I've worked with, as a producer, I saw Philip Ridley work with Jim Sturgis, Eddie Marsan, Timothy Spall, Noel Clarke. And as a director, I've worked with Tatiana Maslany and, as you say, Katie Lowe's, Joe Morton, Tom Cullen. These are Freida Pinto. these are actors that honestly, they come to set, they have done a lot of their prep. And we've had conversations and we've really talked it through and talked it out and talked it to death. And so when they come to set, they're a racehorse, and they're tuned perfectly for the race. You really just need to let the gate up and let them do their thing. And I honestly, the only note that I love giving actors that feels repetitive is praise at the end of it. Is to make an actor feel that they've been heard, that they've done great. And I think it's really important that, and if you're not getting what you want, the fault of that lies in that you haven't set it up correctly. Right. You know, you haven't talked about it properly, or maybe they're just going too fast, or maybe in the edit you feel that, you know, because it's not like theater. You can fine tune a film all the way throughout. Like a scene in the middle of the film could be perfect by itself as a singular scene, but in the watching of the entire movie, you're realizing that that scene is hitting an emotional beat too hard, and by hitting an emotional beat too hard, it's ruining the ending, which needs to hit harder. So then you choose an alternate take of that middle scene where it didn't. Now on the day, you preferred the take that was hitting the emotional beat harder, but I think it's important to ask for different variations of a scene. So if an actor has given you a performance and it's perfect for that note, try, if you have time, to just say, well, let's try it a different way. And there you have in your back pocket a different version of that scene, a different version of that take emotionally that you might want to use. And sometimes I've noticed that things on set that I'm watching I love, then later I'm like, oh, I preferred the other version. So, you know, give yourself, don't dig your heels in the sand, don't close doors, try and give yourself some options for later, because you don't know how you'll feel. And especially also when an actor's watching a film, they might not like something and you might want to say, well, maybe we could use this take. How do you feel about it? But the note I generally give is try and do something else if we have time, and always go up. And I really feel like they're your brother and your sisters making a film. You want to praise them and you want to, you know, encourage them that they've done a great job. It's really hard being an actor. It's really, really difficult. It's petrifying, and you want to basically just, you know, be there with them and make sure that they're okay.
Yeah. And kind of off the back of that, you know, the prep work, obviously, you know, as you said, that the more experienced actors come to set like a racehorse, you know, they're raring to go, they've done all their prep. What maybe for, you know, an actor with a little bit less experience in terms of bringing themselves to set completely prepared, what maybe are some things that they could do to make your life as the director easier?
Is the other way around. Well, the only thing I wish, but the thing is, it goes against an actor's instincts. Is the only thing we always say is don't overthink it, because you'll think yourselves into a corner. Don't overthink it. Trust your instincts. I truly believe that, you know, one of the out of all the great actors I know, the one thing they do really well is they just trust their instincts. They don't overthink it too much, and they go in and they trust their natural abilities to just lead them through the way. The minute you start over planning, or giving, from a director's point of view, giving, especially to an actor who hasn't done too many films or on their first film, when you start giving too many notes, okay, so this is your first marker, and then you're going to look this way, and then you need to hit this marker when the camera is on that portion of the track. You've lost it. Yeah. Like you've completely lost it. Because then they're thinking in half of their mind, okay, so my mark, and then their other half of the mind is trying to give a natural performance where they're inhibiting this real person in their minds, and so that's not really fair. So try and take the technicalities out of it, because with actors, the more experience they have in front of the camera, the more the technicalities will just not even be a thought. They just get it. They know, okay, so here, I need to be here for the focus, for the light. And that just goes to the back of their mind. And then they're there and they're present.
And it's all on performance, which is what matters.
Yeah, and on a set, try and take the jokes out of it, and try and take the noise out of it, and try and take the distractions out of it, and try and not have mobile phones, and try and, you know, with the rest of the crew. I've seen how crew can be, too jokey or too rambunctious, and I can see how that can, and also makeup checks, I can see how that really pulls an actor out of it. You know, you don't need makeup checks all the time, you know, just in between setups, not
sorry makeup artists that are watching.
Yeah.
And it's kind of tied in with that as well. Have you had an experience where you've been working with an actor of any level who's maybe been a little bit lost and not understood whether it's the script and the scene or your direction? And how did you handle it?
I think it's really important to admit, even as the director, that if you don't know something, you don't know. Because what that does is that empowers the actor to actually come up with the solution themselves to a question. And I've definitely had that. And I think it's important to just be human and hold your hands up and not try and pretend that you don't know. And it's not a case of losing authority. There's definitely a couple of scenes in a film I did called Desert Dancer where there was a nightclub scene, and all of the extras, we had about 200 extras, and all of the extras were being so noisy. We were in Casablanca in Morocco. So it was difficult. Like, we had to then say to the Moroccan assistant director what we wanted, then he would shout it on a megaphone, and I could not hear myself think. And I lost it just for a minute. And I blessed the actors. They clocked it as well. And they were like, well, look, instead of doing this huge blocking scene, why don't we just do it in this corner, and we can just be quite simple back and forth here, and you can cover it in a 2-shot, in a single, and then follow them. And there are instances like that. And I generally find that help an actor find, you know, work with the actors to find blocking for a scene. The most difficult thing is the blocking. And because generally from a director's point of view, what happens is the director arrives on set, and the first assistant director's like, right, we got 2 hours less time than what we thought we had because the sparks have taken too long to bring the lights, and the lights didn't work. So now this wonderful scene that you've spent 5 months storyboarding, you don't have time to shoot that scene. You've got to take your 10 shots and you've got to do it into 2. And you're like, okay, so I guess the actors will come up the stairs and we'll sit them right here and we'll cover them in a 2-shot. Okay, that's what we'll do. Then the actors will come on set, and they'll be like, well, hang on, that's not true. I don't want to be told what to do. So that's where you really work yourself into a corner. And that's where actors are like, you know, they'll rile against you. So you must kind of collaborate with the actors to find the blocking, allow them to come in without telling them what we're going to do. Just say, okay, let's explore the scene on the set together. They'll explore it. And then you come in and go, okay, this is wonderful. Then you say, I've only got 2 shots to cover this. I love what we've done here. Is there a way of just condensing what we've done? Empower the actors, empower the collaboration to begin, and then you'll figure it out together. Don't puppet people, you know, work with them.
Yeah, no, that's, and it all comes back to that collaboration thing, you know, not shutting doors on kind of any member of the crew, and keeping everything open and up for interpretation and changing on the day. Which, you know, actors that we work with here who have kind of maybe not done so much screen and done quite a lot of stage, when they come in and there's all this technical around them, there's cameras here, there's lights there, people running around them, it kind of is a little bit like, whoa, overwhelming, like you say.
And that sense of it being overwhelmed is very human, but it does dissipate after you've been on a few sets, because then you're like, oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
It's just people doing their job. And it's just part of the process. I remember the first sets I was on, I was like, whoa, it's amazing, all these lights, and you've read about it all of your childhood, and here you are. But then the more you do it, and the more you get to know the personalities of the crew involved, and the more you realize all that really matters and all that ever would matter is what's in front of the camera. The only place I ever look is I stand next to the camera and I look at the actors. It's the only chance I'll ever get to watch the live performance of the scene that we're doing, and your eye will see other things. And you can always go back to the composition of the lens, but but all that ever matters is what's in front of the camera.
And you started your career at Pinewood, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yes, early days. How was that? You know, how did the career kind of come about for you?
I always loved movies. but it was before, I'm 43, this was when I was, a teenager. And so it was before DVD, extras and mobile phones and the internet. So everyone was anonymous. I wrote, there was a movie being shot at Pinewood called Son of the Pink Panther.
Yeah.
And directed by Blake Edwards. And I remember I was writing letters, and no one would ever write back to me. So I just kind of lied and told my headmaster that I got work experience at Pinewood Studios. And back then, the side gate, it was pretty easy to get into Pinewood. And my dad dropped me off at the gate. I walked up to the security guard, and I had this whole elaborate story to tell him. This was before Pinewood security is what it is today. I was pretty lucky. And I was ready to tell him this whole story, and he just said, "Oh, morning." I was like, "Oh, okay, morning." I just walked in, and I did that every day for like a week, and I ended up meeting loads of people at the cafeteria, and I would just hang around, and they would say, "What are you doing?" I'm saying, "I'm just here to try and find work experience." Everyone was super nice, and I ended up getting a work experience on Son of the Pink Panther. And the people I met on that film invited me to work experience on a film called Shadowlands, where I watched Richard Attenborough and Anthony Hopkins. Wow. And that was amazing. And then I went on to a film with Robin Williams, directed by Bill Forsyth, called Being Human, and then The Fifth Element, and then Interview with the Vampire, Secret Garden, Chaplin, another Richard Attenborough film. There were all these films at Pinewood and Shepperton. And then, and that was my film school. I would just watch, learn, figure it out. And then Theatre 7 at Pinewood is where they would show the rushes. And I befriended the two projectionists that worked there called Nick and Joe. Joe died a few years ago. He had a procession through Pinewood, and he gave me an 8mm camera, which was amazing. So he taught me about that, and I would watch through the window of where the projection would sit, with projectionist machine and projection would sit, and I'd watch the dailies, the rushes of all these movies, and I would be like, "Oh, that's where they're going to cut. Oh, that's what they're going to do," and you just kind of work it out. And it was amazing to have that sense of time in the film industry before things changed with mobile. Yeah, because it didn't work. Because when mobile phones and the internet started, then you couldn't
walk around the studios now. You've got all the studio doors closed. Security stood out front telling you to bugger off, and it's a different atmosphere now.
The first film at Pinewood that ever had big security was Interview with the Vampire, because there was all this controversy about Tom Cruise playing the vampire and Anne Rice, the novelist, not wanting him. So that was the first film that everyone was wearing cloaks, and they had the marquees outside the studio gates. And so I remember that. But yeah, it all changed. Actually, even there was a funny story. I worked on a film for a few days called First Night with Sean Connery and Richard Gere. And there were all these fans outside the gate waiting to catch a glimpse of Richard Gere. And as I was leaving in my little Nissan Micra with my friend, I put on the coat over my face, and they all chased after the car. I was 17 years old, so it was just fun times.
Yeah, some of there's the pub at the end of Pinewood Road called the Cricket Billet. And Johnny Depp's fans used to wait down there. And I think Helen from the office here told me a story of once he actually went down there and saw the fans and had a drink with them down at the Cricket Billet, which is not the most glamorous place to be seen. But
no, but is it when you're in Buckinghamshire, that's what you do.
Yeah, exactly. Pub club after filming, it's got to be done.
Yeah.
Going back to my kind of list of questions that I've been getting from actors. Often, we've touched on it already. Mistakes and how we handle them. Are there common errors, whether it's technical or performance or approaching a script, that you have seen actors make? Is there a common theme?
I think being generous to your other cast members, like if the camera's over your shoulder or the camera is not on you and you're giving lines to somebody else, you have to. I've seen actors not be generous. I've seen actors not even show up for those scenes, and I think it's really important to be really generous and to be there for everyone else, and to remember that there is no I in team. We're all doing this together. There really is no star of a film other than the film. We're there to serve the film and serve the story. The director is just a job as well. You know, it's the runner is as an important job as a director, in my point of view. Like, everyone is together, and the same thing with the cast. And I think it's really important to be generous and to be there for the other actors and try. And I've been on films and I've been on a TV series in particular on location in South Africa, where some members of the cast were complaining that they didn't have as good as like Somewhere to Live as someone else, and you would all this kind of shit, and you would be like, do you remember when you were younger and all you wanted to do was just get that one job and work? And now look at you, you've done it, you've got a couple of jobs, and now you're complaining about some crap that is not important. It's not in front of the camera, and it's coming from something else. So you need to extinguish that and just be kind and just be very humble and just be really grateful for whatever happens. And obviously, if there's an issue that's really grating against you, bring it up. But I think kindness is really important. And also, just, you know, people make mistakes, so be there for them and be there to help with your other actors when they do. And I think that's important, and to hold space and to just make it a safe environment.
Yeah. And what outside of, you know, setting up the environment on set and with the crew and all the rest of it, do you have any kind of go-to techniques that you use with actors to get them into a scene?
No, it's all different. I think you have to treat it professionally and treat the structure professionally, in the sense of, like, once you establish that the actors come on set, it's, you know, the lighting or the setup is, you know, halfway there, let them explore the scene. Again, it just comes down to give an actor space, give an actor that respect to kind of walk around, to explore it, to block it, and then they leave, and then everyone comes in and gets the set, gets it all ready, and they're off in costume and makeup, and then they come on the set and it's go time. But by then they've been thinking about it and they know what they're going to do. And also, you know, things change. It rains, you can't shoot that scene inside, so you now have to go inside and shoot the scene inside. Oh, the car scene, we thought we were going to be doing it in a real car using a trailer, now we're going to have to use a screen. You know, you have to just be adaptable and sometimes an actor has something come up and they have to leave and go back to London, so we're going to shoot all of her scenes first. Don't let the ego get in the way. Just be open, be kind, because I promise you, the producers and the directors, everyone talks, and you don't want to be that person that people don't want to work with.
No. People
want to work with people they like, regardless of how talented they are. And just don't be a pain in the ass. Be there for people, and people will be, you know, be your genuine self.
Yeah. And maybe it's more of a kind of business side question for actors, because obviously those starting off in their career, it's kind of a case of putting their different hat on depending on what they're doing that day, you know, from marketing to learning a script to self-taping. Maybe an actor who's kind of done a bit of their training, whether that's drama school, whether that's individual courses, they've got themselves a show reel together. Mm-hmm. What would you advise they did to get themselves out there?
Well, if they have a show reel together, then make sure that every single person that you know and every single person that they know watches it. and you know, find out, you know, talk to other actors. Don't be competitive. Find your group, find your circle, find your whirlpool of people that will support you, and ask. And so when you're in that position and people are asking you, ask. Don't be competitive on the contacts. Every actor you meet, you're all in it together. Talk about, oh, this manager was wonderful, or this agent was wonderful. And, you know, don't waste time going to Cannes. It's a complete waste of time. Don't waste time trying to meet, you know, feature producers and all of that. Go to short film festivals where the filmmakers are there, and watch There are thousands of amazing short films. I mean, high quality, BAFTA nominated, BIFA nominated, Raindance nominated. We won the Raindance Film Festival for short film. Go to Raindance. Go to I forget the other Encounters in Bristol. Go to Leeds. Go to Edinburgh, and watch all the short films and meet all the directors and the filmmakers that you gravitate towards. Go and talk to them. They're right there, and say, here's my reel. I don't even say, please cast me. Say, I want to be in your next film. I am in your next film. What are we doing? You know,
Yeah.
Go to filmmakers who are hungry, because I guarantee you in 5 to 10 years time, they'll be the ones doing the features in Cannes, and you'll be there right with them if you're working with them. Don't try and go straight for the
value in short films, isn't there?
massive. Like, look, I did a feature before I did a proper short. And afterwards I felt the actors had done a brilliant job, and I felt that personally I'd let them down with a melodramatic film that was over manipulated. And I went back and did 2 shorts, and I changed my style, and I did more of an exploratory kind of artistic venture where I was able to figure out how I wanted to work with actors and how I wanted to work with the camera. And because of these 2 short films, now I'm doing a major movie this year and something else hopefully later on this year. And it's like, there was no harm, there was no embarrassment in that. The shorts I've done are much more celebrated than any feature, and probably more people have watched my shorts than the feature film. And so it's shorts are brilliant. And also, like, I met my community doing these short films at these film festivals. And all these directors and all these producers and all these DPs are going to be doing big features at some point. And I always say to young actors, your whole focus should be going to short film festivals and meeting short film directors, and gravitate towards the ones that you meet, that you like their work, and then you meet them. They're so accessible, and they're so hungry, and they're so talented. That is the match for a young up and coming actor. And then you'll be doing more work, which instinctively then lots of other people will be watching inertly. And then, and that's how you're getting your work out there. Don't wait for someone to give you a job. Get creative, start collaborating, and make things with people, and people will come, people will watch it. And then the ball will just roll down the mountain, pick up more snow, and things will start happening. Don't be static.
No. And it's, we often say to actors, those of you watching online and seeing the messages coming in, Actors UK is a really good Facebook group to be involved in. There's lots of others out there, as Richard says, build the community around you, and find those filmmakers out there who are hungry to create something, because you can join on the back of essentially their career and progress alongside them.
So, go to film festivals, curate your taste in young up and coming filmmakers. Don't just, go to Vimeo staff picks, watch the films there, but go to the film festivals in the UK are Encounters in Bristol, see what's been nominated for the BIFA, see what's been nominated for the BAFTA, but most importantly, go to Raindance, and Edinburgh. Those are the Encounters, Edinburgh, and Raindance. Those are the 3. You will see hundreds of short films, and Leeds. You will see hundreds of short films, and you will meet and be aware of hundreds of different filmmakers, and you get to know their style, and you'll gravitate towards what you gravitate towards genuinely. So if you like comedy, you'll seek out those. If you like drama or sci-fi, you'll seek out those. And then just all their emails are on the website. Just write to them, show them your stuff. Demand that you get a FaceTime and meet a tea. I really want, if anyone ever writes to me and says, "Oh, please can you do a FaceTime?" I'm always guilted into it. I'll speak to anyone, so it's fine.
I managed to get you. And that's in. And would you say to actors, to pick up a camera and shoot something themselves in the meantime?
No, I don't, unless that's your calling. I really don't. Just if that's not your call, if it is your calling, if you want to also be a filmmaker, then go for it, of course. Don't stop. But if it's not, if it's outside of your comfort, if it's not your focus, stay focused on what you're doing and collaborate. Find other people that are doing that because then you'll be guaranteed it will be good. and you'll be part of that, because also part of the learning is collaborating. If you're just by yourself doing it all, then you're never going to learn. You only learn by being challenged. And the other thing I would say as well is make sure the people that you're collaborating with don't look like you. Right. Find a diverse, different sex, find different people that will see the world in a different way to you and challenge the way you see the world, and that will enrich you so much.
Yeah. Now,
different paths as well, very important.
Yes, no, it is. And I appreciate you probably not got a huge involvement in the casting process, but I don't know if you've got experience of watching show reels. Are there any things that you see maybe in an actor's show reel or that you'd like to see? Is it diversity, or that they're really good at one thing?
It's with show reels. Honestly, I got sent just the other day a girl's self-tape on an iPhone, and that was all I needed to see to know that she was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's all just pie in the sky. Having a good show reel, I guess, is really important. I think show reels now are good where the first like 15 to 20 seconds is like a movie trailer or stuff, and then it starts with the scene. So grab the attention. But you know, it's show reel's not going to win you a job. You're going to win yourself the job, whether if you get the opportunity to do an audition. It does seem that people are Googling actors and looking at their profiles and looking at their pictures to try and curate how you want to be depicted when someone Googles you. You know, do a nice photo shoot, have a nice website, have a good Instagram. You know, just curate how you want to be seen, because it does seem that people look at that way. But casting directors, you know, I rely on my casting director. We're casting a film right now, and I rely on my casting. I have lots of ideas and I present them, and she's like, well, they're great, but I really want you to look at these 20 actors that you've never heard of before, because she's trying to push new actors. And so it's important as well to try and get under the radar for casting directors as well. That's very important.
Yeah, and I mentioned at the beginning, we've got our workshop coming up with Ben Cogan, UK casting director. That's on our website. I've seen some of your questions coming through. actionstudio.co.uk is where you can get more details on that. So Richard, time's getting there slowly but surely. In summary, what's maybe one key bit of advice? I appreciate there's been a lot of advice for actors in this, but to tie it all up in one, what's one thing that you'd send actors away with today?
Yeah, obviously, I don't want to repeat what I've said in terms of the collaboration and be kindness and go to short film.
It's maybe bearing in mind that a lot of actors who are watching this now are sat at home with not a huge amount to do because we're all shut behind doors.
Yeah, look, it's a difficult time for everyone. You know what? Honestly, watch movies, watch older films, watch 70s cinema, watch a bit of 60s, watch the 80s, watch films outside of your palette. Get to know, try and diversify your knowledge of cinema, and try and watch and read as much as you can, and that will help you as well. You will discover passions for actors you've never heard about and stories and types of filmmakers, and you'll start to it's like food, you have to taste different things. Use the time that we've got now to try and educate ourselves on a much more expansive view of cinema. So when the world opens up again and you're back, then I think that you'll be better educated for it too. And you can use those as examples for directors that might not have seen them, and they'll feel a bit, silly.
Yeah.
Which is funny. But other than being collaborative and being kind and going to short film festivals and use this time to watch the shorts. Watch short films right now, and go the Vimeo staff picks, see what's been on Raindance, go through the catalog, see what's been in Bristol and all these other places, and watch them and reach out to the filmmakers that you like. you know, do that homework now, and it will serve you really well in the future.
Fantastic. Well, Richard, I can hear your children raring around in the back there.
I closed the door. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm hiding behind the door.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and thanks to everybody who's watching online as well. It's been really insightful. If you've missed this, it's going to be over on our Instagram as well.
Oh, sorry. Don't let anyone tell you that you're doing wrong. Like, just don't let anyone tell. The amount of people that have told me no, don't worry about that. That's the last thing. Just don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up. Yes, listen, thank you so much for your time. And as I said, thanks everybody to watching that's watching online. Our online Zoom courses are still well underway, and we're hoping that we're going to be back at Pinewood soon, in time for the spring, but we'll see what happens. Otherwise, take care of yourself.
Tim, Ken, love you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, he's down in the office working away. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll see you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, listen, yep, thanks everybody that's watching on Facebook, and thanks for your questions that have been coming in. As I mentioned, we've got a few spaces left on Sue Dunderdale's upcoming online workshop, The Art of Cinematic Performance. We added second dates to that because the first one was so popular, and we're really looking forward to running that. Off the back of that, Sue's also got her upcoming 5-day course, which I think is in April, but Helen's more on top of the dates than I am. All at actorstudio.co.uk. Any other questions or advice that you might need, do head onto our website, because there's a little live chat section there, and you can open a chat and you can talk to either myself, Helen, or Tim, or one of the members of the team will be on there to talk to you. Or if you do want to arrange a Zoom call with us, and actually see our faces and talk like this, you can do that as well, and you can book sessions. All you need to do is ping us an email, info@actorstudio.co.uk. It's just coming up to 6:30. Thanks very much for watching. Take care of yourself. Good night.